You want me to?
Welcome back, everyone. I'm John Furrier, theCUBE. We are live here at Supercomputing 2025. I'm here with Dave Vellante, my co-host, Jackie McGuire, Savannah Peace. The whole team is here unpacking the wave of AI infrastructure that continues to accelerate the value to the enterprise and to large cloud, hyperscalers and neoclouds. A lot of action. I mean, Alex Bouzari here, CEO of DDN, is back on theCUBE. Alex, great to see you, as always.
Good to see you, as always. It's always a real pleasure.
Well, you guys continuing to do extremely well in this build-out phase we're in on the CapEx. Last year here, you guys were talking about some of the deployments you were doing. There's a slew of news. There's a lot to talk about as networking connects the systems. The storage fabrics become very tightly coupled to these large-scale systems. A lot to talk about. But first, let's get to the news. You guys got some news here.
A whole bunch of new. Well, I mean, first of all, last year when we met, DDN was powering 500,000 GPUs. We doubled it, so now we're powering 1 million GPUs. We're powering that across geographies, use cases, market segments, from hyperscalers to neocloud providers to enterprises. I mean, the business is expanding, the business is booming, and I think it's happening because we are delivering value in organizations' implementations of AI. So that's one thing. Then we're introducing a new product at the show called DDN CORE, which is bringing our two technologies together. EXA, which is pointing at the enablement of models, model training, accelerating that, making the GPUs run better, faster. And Infinia, which is pointing at inference and making inference a business enabler for organizations. So lots of great things happening in the AI industry and at DDN.
You guys have been a product leader in this area that we've been covering like a blanket. The AI factory era has arrived, as Dave always talks about. What is an AI factory to you in your mind? Can you define it from a perspective of, I'm an enterprise, I want to leverage large scale AI, and you see the numbers, saw NVIDIA Monday night presented, there are 3 waves, simulation AI, and then you got quantum. More and more data is coming in. What is an AI factory? If someone asks you what an AI factory is.
To me, an AI factory is a tool, a capability. It could be physical, as in a data center. It could be a combination of physical in a data center and cloud, but it's a way to generate and create business value, business outcomes, and financial outcomes for organizations who are looking at making investments in AI. So an AI factory for an enterprise, let's say financial services, a manufacturing organization, a pharmaceuticals company, it is a tool that gives them benefits that can translate into business and financial outcomes. It is not about technology. It is a tool that has the flexibility to handle the whole pipeline of AI, from models and model training to analytics to inference, and cover the full stack.
Say so it pumps out tokens.
Well, I want to add to that and say the how it works is energy and data come in, and intelligence
insight comes out.
Yeah,
I mean, it's all about data intelligence. I mean, that's why what we say is DDN is to data, what NVIDIA is to compute. You need data and compute to come together in order for value to get created for organizations. That's the only way you create value. It is insight. From that insight, you create business outcomes that give you differentiation, that make you more competitive, that give you the ability to deliver better products and services to your customers. So that's what an AI factory is. It is an enhancer of your capabilities. With the investments you're making, you're now going to generate more value in the products and services and tools that you're delivering to your customer base.
I like how you didn't mention one single industry or vertical when you made that statement. And if you look at some of the use cases we've been tracking, life sciences, healthcare, med tech, robotics, automotive, financial services, obviously that's a layup, of course. These are like massively transforming value proposition. I was interviewing an end user yesterday. Their R&D throughput, that's the word he used as a KPI, is so fast because of the simulations, because of the AI. This is where the explosion is, and that's an enterprise, basically.
Exactly, but I mean, again, at the end of the day, it's all about data. So there's been this first phase, which is massive investments into building out infrastructure, building data centers, bringing power to the data centers, putting GPUs, populating these data centers, doing the same thing in the cloud. So it's a multi-trillion-dollar investment phase, which is still underway. That investment phase needs to yield results. It needs to generate trillions of dollars of value. And that translation, the value creation, is where compute and data come together. So I think that's a problem that we're solving as an industry. That's a problem that NVIDIA and DDN combine together in putting together frameworks that are easy to deploy, easy to implement, and generate value. That's the other part of it, which I think is very, very important. It's not technology that simply gets deployed. Enterprises need solutions that can integrate into their environments and add the value of AI. So putting together the blueprints, which we're doing, we're making a bunch of introductions. We've done a lot of work with NVIDIA in putting together frameworks for financial services, for instance, so that a bank that is looking at improving fraud detection can implement the solution. It's all about ease of use and amplifying value in business and financial terms.
So I want to get your take, Alex, on something. So DDN has always dominated this community, the high-performance computing community. I know you've always had your sights set on the enterprise. And now as AI and high-performance computing come together,
yes,
there's a really profound change that's happening. Putting aside the bubble talk, we could talk about that all day.
Yes.
I want to talk about the outcomes here that you're talking about, the business value. And ultimately, enterprises are going to be able to scale without labor.
Yes.
And so when we went from a world of on-prem software to SaaS,
yes,
everything changed. The operational model, the business model, the technology model, but it really only affected IT. Really only affected the technology business, the cloud came out of it, et cetera. Now, as John's pointing out, it's affecting every industry.
Yep.
It's not just the IT department. Those that can actually ride this curve, they're going to get on a learning curve, and that's going to deliver software-like economics to all companies.
Absolutely.
And that completely changes the competitive dynamics across every industry. Your thoughts on that?
You're absolutely correct. I think AI for the enterprise is an enhancer of the capabilities of the core competencies that you have. Whatever the differentiators are for a bank to be more competitive, or a hedge fund, or a pharmaceuticals company, or a manufacturing company, AI gives you the ability to enhance your capabilities, deliver more value to the organizations that will benefit from that. For that, you need two things. You need the underlying technology that can get deployed, AI factory, in data centers and in cloud, but you need the ease of use and ease of integration that is specific to your use case, to your industry. And so that's one of the things we've been doing with NVIDIA, for instance. We've developed a financial services pipeline that can be implemented by a bank or a financial services organization so that they can consume AI and benefit from AI from a business and financial outcome standpoint. It integrates the DDN Infinia technology with NVIDIA's NIMs in a full pipeline that organizations can just implement and benefit from, because the integration into organizations and into enterprises is key. For enterprises to adopt AI, it has to be easy to use, easy to manage, easy to integrate. It is not just about the value that it brings, it's the ease of integration. And that, I think, is where we are today. That is where DDN is today. That is where NVIDIA is today.
With their proproprietary data.
With their proprietary data, absolutely.
Alice, I want to get your thoughts on some of the technology under the hood. We've seen this movie before in the 90s and the 2000s, memory management. The systems always got better. We're seeing a highly accelerated market now with NVIDIA denser clusters. Yep. You're seeing networking as being a key fabric, as I mentioned earlier. Storage fabrics coming in.
Yep.
How do you see the architecture evolving? Because what we're seeing is kind of like system designs, and it comes up a lot when people talk about big models versus small models.
Yep.
We're hearing more words like offload. Offload is a concept you know is all about, but like not offloading like in the traditional sense. It's like, no, we're going to offload and make the GPUs better because they're not getting the utilization rate. So the high-priced item is the GPU. That's the key star of the show.
Yes.
But now storage plays a big role in systems and software to manage that, depending upon which enterprise, what's the use case look like, the environment. So the role of designing these large-scale clusters with memory, storage, networking, scale up, scale out, however you want to call it, is huge. How do you guys view that? Because it's constantly evolving, and we're going to see more data coming in, so it's not going to be in memory.
Absolutely. So, I mean, the way we look at it, we think that there's a paradigm shift which is happening. I mean, we say, okay, DDN is to data what NVIDIA is to compute. Well, NVIDIA is not really a compute company, even though GPUs do compute. But what NVIDIA is doing is adding AI capabilities to every organization out there to create true business and financial value. So the paradigm shift is really looking at AI and the consumption of AI. How do I bring the consumption of AI to organizations, to enterprises, to governments? How do I facilitate that from the edge to the data center to the cloud in a highly flexible manner, and from the software stack to the compute, to the networking, to the storage? That is the problem that needs to be solved. It's an orchestration layer that needs to facilitate all of this, and that orchestration layer needs to take place at the compute level, which is what NVIDIA is doing, but also at the data level, and you need to marry these things together. So it is not really one size fits all. I mean, there have been debates about, well, should it be file system? Should it be parallel file system? Should it be object? Should it be S3? It's not about that. It needs to be a variety of technologies that come together so that customers can consume AI resources in order to get business and financial benefits. That's what we need to do. That's what we're doing.
It's funny, the same kind of conversations happening with quantum. It's a completely different paradigm how they do things. So what you're saying is it's a whole different paradigm. Okay, so talk about the relation with NVIDIA, because they use this word extreme co-design.
Yes.
Talk about how you guys play with it, because you look at what the libraries are coming out, more and more libraries are coming out, more and more models that they're supporting, small, big, medium, because the software and the AI will handle all that. How do you guys view that co-design from a DDN perspective? Is it more library-based?
Absolutely. So we work very closely with NVIDIA. I mean, we have daily engagements with their engineering teams across all areas of engineering. So one part of it, I think, is efficiency gains at the GPU level. I mean, there was a survey made which said 40% of GPUs are sitting idle. Well, that's like having a hotel, 40% of your rooms are empty. How does that make any sense? So we crank up the efficiency of GPU utilization to 99% plus. So we do a lot of work with NVIDIA in terms of how do we achieve better efficiency? How do we ensure that the GPUs are running 24/7, 99% plus? How do we make sure that it's happening in a smaller data center footprint? Because there isn't enough data center space out there. How do we make sure that the power consumption drops? So these are engineering discussions where our teams and NVIDIA's teams are working hand in hand. But the other part, which I think is very, very important, is the software stack enablement, the NIMs, NEMO, all of the software initiatives that NVIDIA has had and continues to have underway to make it easier to generate value for organizations and enterprises in each one of these use cases.
And that works across, the stack works
Absolutely.
across all
so we're, I mean, KV cache is something that's very, very important for inference. Well, we work with NVIDIA, and now the DDN stack is accelerating KV cache by a factor of 15, which means the tokenization and the monetization of the tokens is now 15 times better. These are the things that need to be done in order to improve the economics so that enterprises can adopt AI faster. I mean, these kinds of game-changing technologies that are happening, in order for them to happen, the economics have to get much, much better. And the software stack, what we're doing with NVIDIA, can contribute very significantly to that.
The great thing is you're in the data business. NVIDIA is leaving so much white space for companies like yours. You don't have to buy, spend the trillions on CapEx. You just have to do the things that you're talking about to close the gaps that exist, these bottlenecks that exist, because it's a systems design, right?
I mean, it's value. You have to deliver value to customers. For that, you have to understand their software stacks, their frameworks, their pain points, and bring in an AI capability that enhances the value that they're delivering to customers. Bring a drug to market faster, improve fraud detection by 3%, which translates into hundreds of millions of dollars of value, make my factory floor run more efficiently, and on and on and on and on.
Your point about simplicity is key, because I think you're right. When I talk to enterprises that have thousands of GPUs, they are way underutilized, and that's a problem. So you have to make it simpler for them. They might not have the skill sets to be able to take advantage of that resource so that they can add value. So point of moment, but I want to ask you about sovereign AI. What are you seeing there? I know you're supporting many projects. I wonder if you could sort of update us on, sovereign AI. They need land, they need power, they need obviously data and infrastructure.
So sovereign AI, I think, is something that really started out in earnest a few years ago. Now there are massive investments going into sovereign AI. We're involved in probably 50 projects that are billions of dollars at the level of the infrastructure that is built. Sovereign AI, I think, is very important for every country because there's two parts to it. There's a defense part and the military part, the world being what it is, you need that. But it's also preserving and expanding the cultural heritage of each nation. So I think nations are investing in sovereign AI. And it's not necessarily an ROI element to it. There is, but that's not the primary thing. The primary thing is how do I make sure that I preserve and amplify my cultural heritage? How do I make sure that I can defend my country better by being able to see what is coming at me? So that, I think, is massive. It is happening right now. People are building data centers worldwide. It will go on for the next decade. These data centers will be populated with GPUs, with NVIDIA. They will be populated with DDN on the data side, but it's an enabler, sovereign AI. I think sovereign AI is a counterpart to AI factories. I think AI factories is really for enterprises and businesses. Sovereign AI is for governments, but it's really kind of the same thing in that you have to add value, and it all means tying in and marrying the compute and the data together.
It's become a fundamental component of public policy, and governments are spending tens of billions of dollars.
Oh, absolutely.
How do you look at the sovereign AI, which we think is happening too, but it's also going to be regional. Once you go country, you got region, and then the edge. So what's your feeling on the edge? Because once the AI factories come out, you got sovereignty. The users are going to have devices, wearables, watches, Ray-Bans, whatever they got, phones. They're going to want to access. We think there's going to be a hyperconvergence at the edge with wireless.
So
mini AI factories with DDN and smart intelligent storage. So I walk in to any outlet, retail, anywhere I do, I'm connected, and AI just runs everything.
I mean, that is a very astute view. And if you look at NVIDIA's announcements recently, there have been some announcements tying into telcos. Because in order to serve the edge, well, you need a global infrastructure, and telcos have that infrastructure in each country, in each geography. Because at the end of the day, for all of this to work, there is localization that is required, and that localization is proprietary to a country, to a government, or to an enterprise. But you need a global view because people traverse country boundaries and so on. So you need global access, which is happening at the edge with telco enablement. And then you need the localization, which is happening in data centers in each country.
So you believe then, you'd probably agree with me on my thesis that the spectrum optimization on licensed spectrum and unlicensed will be abstracted away.
Absolutely.
And connected through in the backhaul is Ethernet.
I think there's no... You need to do that because, as you pointed out, the devices that we use, the tools that we have, it is distributed, it is global in nature. And so you need access, you need ingest, and you need insight coming out of that globally. Well, for that, you need a global, integrated, highly efficient, flexible, safe fabric that then ties into all these localized things that are being...
So AI factories are basically going to power a new set of cloud architectures, city clouds, metro clouds, edge clouds.
So. I believe so. It's all of that. I mean, the same way you have your mobile device. Okay, you're watching a movie, and you're watching a movie in your hotel room, at home, at work, in a car. It doesn't matter. The content is ubiquitous. It's on any device. Well, same thing with AI. It has to be the same.
We hear a lot, this is the first show I've heard this term multiple times, behind the meter. Behind the meter means I'm controlling the energy, basically on premise. And then there's outside the meter. Now you got energy, you got networks. Another area we're seeing a lot of development. What does that actually mean for people to understand like how that network is being segmented? You have a view on that? Because this is kind of becoming a point we're hearing a lot about, like, hey, you can have an on-prem enterprise, a data center, but you're going to talk to a bunch of other things. Neo clouds, AI factories. What's your view on that?
So I think it all needs to tie together. You need flexibility. I don't think you can do AI unless you have flexibility on-prem, in the cloud, and cloud, the consumption and the utilization needs to be flexible. I have to be able to today. So, DDN, we're offering EXA through Google. We have a 1P offering with Google. Well, if a customer wants to consume and it makes sense for them to consume on Google, fantastic. we have a relationship with CoreWeave. So our technology is available through CoreWeave. If they want to consume through CoreWeave, so be it. If they want to do it on-prem, so be it. So the flexibility, I think, is very, very important. And unlike the migration from, okay, I was doing everything on-prem and now everything shifted to the cloud, which happened to the enterprise, I think in the case of AI, it needs to be fully flexible.
Yeah.
Data center, cloud, any data center with full flexibility.
Yeah.
That's the only way this is going to play out. And then edge to data center to cloud.
Alice, always great to have you on. Such great wealth of knowledge as the founder at DDN. Obviously, you're in the middle of all the action. For the people that are waking up and saying, hey, what's going on in this AI world? How do you explain it to the average person in terms of some of these like generational waves, paradigm shifts? There's all kinds of things happening. You point out a few of them. What would you say to someone? It's like, hey, is this AI stuff real? What's the bottom line?
So, I mean, I look at it as AI is amplifying our creativity. So if you're a teenager today, it's okay. You had these mobile devices where you were basically absorbing information. This is about you can take your creativity now and put it back. So it's interactive. And I think it's the first time in the history of mankind where we have the capability to really enhance your creativity. What you can think will become reality finally. So I think it's tremendously exciting. Will there be shifts in what tomorrow's people will work on versus today's people? Absolutely. But it is not a threat. This is not about, oh, lots of people are going to get fired, it's going to be disruptive, and the world is going to be gloomy. It's fantastic.
Scales intellect.
It is an amplification of creativity. And what mankind has is creativity. That's what we have. We are dreamers. That's what human beings are. We are dreamers. And it will amplify that capability. I always say it will take us to the stars, not Elon's colonizing Mars. It will take us to the star. AI will take us to the star because smart kids today will use AI, will come up with ways to make all these things happen, things that we're only dreaming of today.
Breakthroughs, safe society, a whole bunch of new things will emerge. If you ask me in 2018 what AGI looks like, I'd say what we're doing now is like showing ChatGPT. That looks like AGI, but I think there's more to come.
It's great. It really is greatness. I'm very passionate and very positive about what the world will look like in decades to come. I think it's fantastic.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate you coming on theCUBE.
Thank you very much.
Commentate. I'm Jeff Dave Vellante, live from Supercomputing 20 with all the action. This is high performance computing now turned into supercomputing. It's all one thing. It's computing and it's all about data and compute. We'll be right back with more after this short break.